Hey guys, it's Brian the Blue, and what are you doing here? Oh, I see it's April 5th, which means it must be time for another anniversary video. Is that why you guys are here? Oh, how nice. By the way, that's Mama Blue behind the camera. Hi, Mama. She's going to be assisting me on this video because instead of a shelving review, I think now we should get a more up-close and personal look at all the games and other electronics I've been collecting over the past few years, and I'm hoping you guys will be able to enjoy this little tour around the game room. Let's get started. Starting off with something you don't normally see too much in my videos, and that's the air hockey table. It's been with my family for quite some time. Used to play it a good chunk before I really got into video games, but after the craze came over me, it's mostly just been laid dormant right here, but it's still a good air hockey table. We use it on occasion. Actually used it for my birthday 2 years ago. That was fun. Pucks just flying everywhere. But yeah, that's that, and now let's move on to the main attraction. Thank you, Mama. On the top shelf we have mostly Nintendo controllers and whatnot. I mean, in these drawers I have like N64 controllers, among other things. We have cables up here for handheld units, U-Force, laser scope, deck enhancer, power pad, power glove. Yeah, it's just all mostly Nintendo controllers, but I do have a few non-Nintendo things like that Sega Dreamcast controller, keyboard actually behind there. Well, that's about it. It's just mostly Nintendo. Got the almighty Virtual Boy we almost hail. It's like one of my lookouts, like one of my keepers of the game room. It just peers out through the whole game room just to make sure nothing goes bad. On this row is one of my prides and joys. We have the Nintendo section, from the Nintendo all the way to the Wii. I don't have the Wii U just yet, but that'll come in time, rest assured. Start here with the Nintendo Entertainment System with some complete in-box games, good majority of the loose games, the unit itself, some Nintendo Power comics. If you guys remember the days when Nintendo had their own magazine, those were the days, just to flip through and look at all the new coming attractions that were just about to come out for the Nintendo and whatnot. These are fun reads. You should get them whenever you see one. Have the unit itself right here, the baby that saved video games. Have Chip and Dale 2 in there at the moment. I got a few controllers. I have the Ultimate Nintendo book right behind here. Thank you, Pat the NES Punk. I also have the Game Genie right behind here, just resting. Here's the book, complete with all the cheats for the cheat code. I have the Nintendo games, usually categorized and loosely categorized. I have mostly Nintendo first-party games, the black box games right here, and here's the third-party, like from Konami and Tecmo and Capcom and all the other ones. Got Wrecking Crew right here, my first video. This is what started it all for me. Get a good shot of that right there. Yeah, you can almost see it. It's right there. I just chose that game out of the whole black box line for no real other reason other than like it's a Mario game that not most people know of and not many people talk about it, so hey, why the hell not? And it did serve me well. It's like one of my more popular videos on the channel right now. I think it's number 5 in my most popular vids as when this video is getting made, so hey. Think I started out alright. Picked a good one. Got the Super Nintendo on the N64, 16, 64 bits. All the games are right behind some of the few boxes right here. I also got Donkey Kong for the Game Boy to go along with the Super Game Boy because that's usually the preferred way to play that game. Oh, I also have the SNES Classic up here. I don't have this original Super Nintendo in the box, but this will do pretty much. Maybe I'll get it eventually. Have the Nintendo GameCube and the Wii. I grew up with the Wii, as probably a few of you know. I'm pretty sure I said that on occasion. Oh man, was it a console to grow up with. I had an absolute blast playing Wii Sports, Mario, Lego games. I used to be an avid Lego collector in my youth. Not anymore though. I recently sold my Lego collection to a local store. got $1,000 out of it. More money from my games. Got some more Wii accessories and also the Nintendo Switch box, which leads us to our next shelf right down here. This is my TV setup. I have an old CRT as well as a flat screen. The CRT's been with my family for quite a long time, and the reason why we still keep it is because I usually need it for my gun games like the Duck Hunt or the Zapper or something with one of the Segas that are down here. So it's one of the main reasons why I like to play on here, but it's also, you know, if you want that real nostalgia feeling for playing some of these older systems with the Atari maybe or the older Nintendo, this is the one you gotta play it on. So this is what I consider my main setup, my more current setup. I have a good selection of Nintendo Switch games and it's still growing, as you can see. I don't know how many Nintendo Switch games I should say I do have. But from what I can see right now, I have Mega Man, Mario, Night Trap, Mario Odyssey, Pokemon, and so on. And it's only ever going to grow. I have a few different box types, like I have the complete collector's edition of Night Trap, Layers of Fear, Sonic Mania. I mean, I got Nintendo Collector's Dream, maybe not as much as other YouTubers would have, but you know, I'm having a blast with the Nintendo Switch. And here it is. Right here. This is my Nintendo Switch that I actually got on launch day. Luckily it was able to be found at Best Buy when they were just stocking up on new ones after they sold out. I was fortunate to get one. Also my mom got it for me. So, she's a good mama. Moving our way down to the bottom to the PlayStation and Sega row. The PS3 right here is probably the second modern console I got back in the day. Well, it wasn't really me that got it. When my mom moved into a new house, she got the PS3 not only for me to play games when I came over, but to also have a DVD Blu-ray player. So that was a win-win right there. Have the PS3 games, PS3 controllers, PS1 games, and also the PSP in some games. Found some room to squeeze this in here because, you know, it's the PlayStation Portable. Gotta have it with all the other PlayStations, am I right? I just recently got the PS2 in its box with a few games this past Christmas, so glad to finally have that in my collection. Also have the PS2 version of Time Crisis, which is an awesome version. It's also an awesome game anyway. I used to play it all the time in the arcades. If you got time to, you know, play it at the arcades if you ever find one, I recommend it. It's probably one of the best light gun rail shooters you'll ever find. Well, moving on to Nintendo's rival Sega, we have the Sega Dreamcast, the Sega Saturn, the Sega Master System. I don't usually collect too much for these systems. I'm actually starting to get into more Sega Master System collecting, but it's always nice to have them. Have a few games so that way I don't look like a complete loser when it comes to, you know, having the systems at my house. So there's good majority to play. What I do collect for is for the Sega Genesis, as you can see right over here. Have the Sega Genesis Model 2 with the 32X and CD Model 2 lined up. I am a sucker for Sega CD games and 32X games and just the whole shebang for this big pile of Sega goodness. As you can see, I have a good amount of Sega CD, Sega 32X. I don't have too much of, but I got those that count. Like, let's see, we have Doom and Knuckles Chaotix right here. So, I mean, those are probably the best two games that are on the 32X. There's only 40 of them, so that's saying something. I have a good amount of loose games right here, mostly Sonic or otherwise. Got a few complete in box games like Sonic Spinball and Rocket Knight Adventures. Great game, by the way. It has probably some of the best graphics you can find on the Genesis. I also have the Genesis Model 1 in the back here, complete in box. You can barely see it, but there it is. If you can see it right there, you can see the G in Genesis. As well as the consoles, I also have the handhelds, like the Sega Nomad and also the Sega Game Gear. I have the blue version, but I also have the gray. I do love these handhelds. They're probably one of the best ones. Not on battery life, but definitely to play. Good thing I have those chargers up there. The games I have for the Sega Game Gear, or just mostly Sonic. I really need to get into Sega Game Gear collecting more. It's got a very unique library, but only time will tell. Mama Blue dropped her glasses. Well, moving right along from the main shelf to one of my favorite shelves, as probably you can already notice, it's the Atari shelf, or probably the more retro-esque shelf. We'll get to the top in the moment, but I just want to talk a good while about my favorite company, Atari. So I have a good majority of Atari complete in box games. That's one of my main collecting things that I love to do. I just love to collect complete in box Atari. I have a fair amount. I think I'm almost at 200 complete in box Atari games. I have almost all of them from Activision. I have a good majority of their first edition boxes as well as their second and third. What I mean by that is that they had so many different iterations of game boxes, from different colors to the silver to the red ones, which are on the bottom. I also have a good majority of their I ran out of breath. I have a good amount of their pack games. For those who don't know, they used to release a few packs which came with a few games. Like this one is the Back to School pack, which had the basic programming and the keyboard controllers, so this was a great find. I also have the Atari Game Center, but I don't have the actual Atari 2600. I have the Sears Telegames, which was the iteration of the Atari 2600 that Sears sold back in the day, because they had a partnership with Atari to sell their Pong system when that was new, and it just kept continuing on from the 2600. So, and also Telegames is different from the company Telegames. Some people get confused on that. Have you ever seen such a beautiful rainbow? I didn't think so. I love the Activision Atari games. I love the commercials. I love the games. I love the boxes. They knew what they were doing so far back in the day. It's like, oh, I love it. I love it so. You'll never take me away from them. I got plenty of games that I can't really pull off from the back. I also recently got the Atari wireless controllers that are behind the Activision games. You can see the box, it's just right here. I also got a few Sears Telegames games. They used to repackage the regular Atari games and put them in their own label, which probably confused a whole lot of people. But I also got some two good gems. I got Star Fox for the Atari, and also a Mystique game, for those who know what this is. Good on you. I don't think I can say it on the climate of YouTube nowadays. But my love isn't just for the Atari 2600. I also have a good passion for the 5200, have its games right here. I just got the 7800 not too long ago, have it in the box with a few games. Atari Lynx and the Atari Jaguar. Back when Atari was just so fixated on different cats back in the 90s. I consider the Jaguar another keeper of the game room because of its eyes. Look at that. Would you come in this game room and see those eyes and not be intimidated? I didn't think so. Exactly. I also have a Sears Telegames variant of the Atari Pinball. This one's called Pinball Breakaway. Surprisingly, when I did the console review for this one, it's probably one of my more popular console reviews, which I was kind of surprised with. I didn't think there'd be so much love and viewership for that video. Surprised the heck out of me. Well, we'll move right along to our next shelf, which has most of my more before Nintendo consoles. We got the ColecoVision, the Intellivision with assorted games. I've been wanting to actually collect complete in box games because, like the Atari games, they're mostly relatively easy to find and cheap to collect for. I mean, most of them won't go over 20 or even 10 bucks, so if you want a feel to collect for before Nintendo, like Atari, Coleco, and Intellivision, that'd be your safe bet. Also recently got a Coleco handheld. This was the Quiz Whiz, just cuz. But right here is probably one of my best buys that I've ever ever got. This is, my friends, the original Magnavox Odyssey, all the way back from... I need to look that up, actually. 1972. I was gonna say that, but I wasn't sure of myself. I need to be more confident with my information. Anyway, I found this at Game On Expo last year. The seller was selling it for $200, and I was like, wow! I never saw it ever that cheap ever at all. Whenever I tried to find and look for it online, it usually goes for like $600, maybe even $1,000, because some people are a-holes. But finding it for $200, mostly in good shape, has a few tear, but you know, that just happens with something this old. I picked it up immediately. I was not going to pass this up. I'm glad I had it. I went over budget at Game On, but I do not care. Also have the Odyssey 100. After this mostly flopped, they went to Pong consoles once Pong was a big thing. So they made a dozen of those. That was the first one. But they didn't stop there with their Odysseys, for they made the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Here's a Pac-Man board game, but here's the Odyssey 2 right here. I have a good wide selection of the games right here stacked up. Also have MS-DOS 6.22 upgrade. Just found that at Goodwill and thought, what the hell? It was like $1. And there's the Odyssey 2, the true follow-up from the original Magnavox. Magnavox. Try saying that 5 times fast. You can find a good majority of the games in the wild for mainly cheap, like Casey Munchkin, Casey's Crazy Chase, Attack of the Time Lord, UFO, and so much more. Odyssey 2, programmed by you. Up here is like my little section for the Milton Bradley Microvision, one of the first handhelds to take cartridges, and I also have a little reading area for a few books I have, and also a poster for Touch Me. I have a few books like The Art of Atari. It's this one was about the artists that made the promotional materials and the box covers for all the Atari games. It's a good read. Also have Supercade. That talks about some of the more popular arcades and trends during the golden age of the arcade scene. Also have a strategy guide for Pokemon Stadium. Good thing I have that, now I just need to get the game. My mom was so kind to point out that we may have forgotten to show off the controllers that are on the floor. The reason why I keep them down here is because, you know, there really isn't enough room with all the games and boxes and whatnot. So I usually like to keep them tucked into the bottom to make sure nobody trips over them. As you know, it is what it is. Moving right along to the bottom part of this shelf, we have some good goodies like this typewriter right here. This came from my grandmother on my mother's side, so my mom's mom. She was a typist in her youth, and when we were cleaning up her house, we found her original typewriter, if I remember correctly. It's an Olympic or Olympia or something like that. I couldn't see the thing on the dust cover, but I decided to keep it because, you know, never really seen a typewriter before, and I'm still trying to find a cord to get it working, and hell, maybe I'll use it someday. Also have some gifts, assorted gifts from my relatives, like these two are from my sister and this one is from my cousin. Haven't really gotten around to opening them because, well, for one, I think I'm pretty sure I know the quality of these two, and just this one, you know, don't really use my phone for gaming. I have all this to keep me busy, so just haven't found enough time. But I appreciate the thought. It's always welcome. Moving right along, we have the Action Max, the VHS console, probably the most popular one of them all. I recently got the third game out of 5, The Rescue of Pops Ghostly. Fortunately, I wasn't able to get that in the video. I just got it recently, after the video came out. I think after I made it, I really got into getting the rest of the game, so now I have 3 out of 5. The funny thing about the Action Max, and I explained it in the video, is that my cousin, who also gave me the virtual reality headset, had the Action Max, and when I posted on Facebook that I got the complete version, he said, "Hey, I have this, would you like to have it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So you know, I just went to his place and picked it up, and I'm probably one of the only collectors that would be crazy enough to have or actually want 2 Action Maxes. Also, that came with it was the laser tag, which was made by the same company that made the Action Max Worlds of Wonder. We're also founded by former Atari employees, so they knew how to innovate. Over here is an extra TV that we used to take out on the road. I needed my entertainment when I was very young, and that was the VHS TV. I have a few comics from my youth that I just recently got from my mom's house, but right here is one of my ultimate pride and joys in the Vectrex. The Vector graphic system, released way back in '82, and is probably one of the best gaming experiences I've had, and you could possibly have. If you ever see a Vectrex, you should play it whenever you get the chance. If you're able to get it, hats off to you. It's a little bit expensive. Could go you by $200, $300 depending on the game. If it has games, I should say, or if it's complete in box. And speaking of boxes, here are all the games that I have currently. Sorry, I'm just drooling over the fact that I have so many. I love this system so much. When I usually think Vectrex, I usually think Starhawk. It's probably one of my favorite games. Just think Star Wars: A New Hope in the trench, and need I say more. I also have some paperwork that would come with the box. I don't have the Mindstorm overlay that would usually come with the complete in box, so I'm still on the lookout to finding that overlay out. But I do have the an extra controller in the box. That's always nice. Oh, and just in case if you were wondering what the box was that the typewriter is on, it's the box actually to this thing. This also came from my grandmother's house. Yeah, she kept it in the box, and I'm glad for her for that. Moving back up from the top shelf, we have an extra TV that I just got locally. I decided to get this TV because 1, it looks cool, and 2, I have an idea for a project that we may be getting to this year. Only time will tell. I also have this Urban Outfitters bag. I don't go there. The reason why I have this bag up here is to contain all my future game reviews, so if you want to have a little peek to see what he can. No, you cannot. It's not for you. It's only for my eyes. Moving right along. We have the TurboGrafx and the 3DO. This is mostly just a work in progress shelf, just in case I need some extra room. But I have a good amount of TurboGrafx games. I think I almost have half the library. I bought this from a friend of mine at the arcade that I work at, Galaga Mike. He was a big TurboGrafx guy, and when he said he was looking for somebody to sell, I was negotiated with him on a fair deal. And this was like when I just started working at Starfighters, and I racked up so much money just to get all that, and it was probably the hardest I worked. Probably the biggest deal I made, and I regret nothing. I'm a gamer through and through. I have a box with some wires for the TurboGrafx. Also got a few Atari games on this shelf, or like on this part of the shelf, because I have so many Atari games. I'm starting to run out of room. You can see the back right here. I just have them nicely propped up. They're able to stay right here, make sure they don't fall. So that's about it for this shelf. But that isn't all, my friends. For not only do we have 2 this year, we also have a 3rd. So we recently just got a 3rd shelf. I would say almost nearly last year we had this new shelf. One of the reasons why we had to put up, or I had to put up a new shelf, is because of Nintendo Labo, the cardboard. When I made those, you could see in a few videos, I really didn't have a place to put them other than putting them back on the floor. Main reason why we got shelves in the first place was to put everything up on shelves, have them put them, you know, displayed better than just on the floor. Even though I didn't really see a problem with it, my dad did. So now we have another shelf for not only Nintendo Labo, but all the new stuff that I get. On the top shelf is just a few random things, like an Outrun 2 marquee that my friend gave me, Jody. He was looking for something to do with that for the longest time and just decided to give it to me, so makes a great display on that top shelf. I just recently got this Mark's TV tennis game, which is basically Pong before Pong. It's like an electronic table tennis game. It has moving parts in it. I actually have it over there. I could probably show it to you. But I also have this Omni entertainment system, an 8-track gaming system, believe it or not. It was made by Milton Bradley, the same people that put out the Microvision, and it's an interesting experience. It doesn't work too much, but I just need to replace a few things on the actual game cartridges, so maybe I'll make a video about that sometime. Also have a random PC laptop in here with some MAME and Daphne to show off a future project. I'll keep you in the loop on that. But right here is my Commodore 64 section. I just recently got these not too long ago, last year. I know a friend at the arcade who's been telling me that he's had excess amount of Commodore 64s, and I was finally able to take at least 2 off his hands. This one is the regular C64 unit, and we also have the personal computer unit right here, as well as a few games that I've been able to get. I didn't have any games for it at first, so I had no means of really testing it out other than turning both of the things on. But it did come with this tape deck, floppy disk drives, and a printer, a whole bunch of computer paper. I don't know how I'll be able to use this in the future, but I'll find a way. And I'll watch it print, and I will just put a face like this. Because who doesn't like to watch printing? Over on the bottom shelf down here is something you probably wouldn't normally associate with me, but I do like some old home movie media formats, and right here is my CED collection. CED stands for Compatinant Electronic Disc or Video Disc. Think the vinyl inside of a big floppy, and you get CED. It was made by RCA, and it's pretty much what put them down to their knees as a company, but it was an interesting experience. I mean, they released a good amount of movies on this thing, like Star Wars, the classic. They've released them in 2 different ways. The white ones are the opposite of stereo, which would be mono. So I lost the word for a second. But down here is mostly just an assortment of movies and whatnot. I also have some random gifts that I got for my birthday. Like this is a fluff ball of Chewbacca. Also have a Soul Pop figure. This is Yoda. I just got this for my birthday not too long ago. I also have a mini shrine for one of my favorite movie franchises, The Land Before Time. This was my childhood back in the day. I was not too big into Disney. I was all about Land Before Time. I'm also into laser discs. I have most of my laser discs upstairs with the player, but I also keep the Land Before Time laser discs down here. And I just got this one, the Collector's Edition, I believe. Yeah, Special Collector's Edition, this one. If you ever want to watch a movie, a kid's movie that explains racism or good themes, this is probably the best series you could get for your child. I don't have kids, but they'll be dinosaur lovers to the very end. To go with the CED video discs, I also have 2 CED players, one of the earlier models and one of the later models. The difference is one is working and one is not, but the real difference is this one you would need to physically put the disc in, and when you hear a click you can, or yeah, you gotta move this part, and then once you hear a click you would just fiddle around with this little thing. Very productive. And this one would do it automatically for you. It would take it from you, and if you hear a click, it would spit it back out, and you know. And the whole disc would go in, but the actual floppy container you would have to take out, so you would never see the disc. So it's kind of a pain to make sure these movies keep working. Most of them won't really go without a certain problem of skippage. So it's a kind of a pain to collect for if you actually wanted to watch the movies, but if you want to just collect for old media's sake, I would say you do. It's a fun format. Well, you also can't live without collecting some VHS and random DVDs that I have right here. I was a big VHS guy back in my prime, which was like, I don't know, in 2000s. I'm only 20. Just recently got some Pokemon movies. I have 1 through 3. I also have an additional 1, but one of them actually was a mistake gift from my friend. She had the best intentions, but she accidentally got me a different Pokemon compilation movie, which is still good, but I was kinda, you know, I was expecting the first movie, but I eventually got it, and I told her about it like a year later, and she understood. Can't deny Pokemon in any right. It's a great series. So moving on to the final part of our tour, we're just going over to the little bar area. This is where I usually would film the current calamities or the console or AC reviews, just right here on this counter where some people would serve drinks, but I review video games. Right now I'm going over the Mark's TV Tennis. I'm just making sure for quality assurance that it's just working just fine. I'm also working on the latest game review, which should come out tomorrow as this video goes up. Change of plans! The game review isn't actually going to come out tomorrow. Check my Facebook page for more information. I also have an additional pencil and marker just in case I need to go over edits of the script while I'm, you know, recording and whatnot. So, but yeah, that's about it in the game room. Before I forget, I should also point out the marquees that are on the wall. I've been wanting to hang these somewhere. They were originally up there before the shelves were put into place, and then when we put the shelves up, I had no idea where to put them. They used to be on that corner for the longest time, but we finally got some, oh god, what are those called? Those Command 3 strips, and we put those on the wall, and I also put up some additional posters, like Gaming Historian right there, a few conventions that I went to on that wall, and some arts that a friend gave me in high school of the Duck Hunt duck. Thank you, Mama, for the close-up. But yeah, that's the whole game room, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the uncut tour, and I hope you'll be able to celebrate the 4th anniversary of Brian the Blue with yours truly. I'd like to thank you guys for watching once again. Be sure to click on anything you see on screen, but for the time being, I will see you guys in the near future.